Bramborough back with some Grand Tactician Civil War. We've got a CSA campaign going here in version 1.06, which is the live version of the game. If you're new to the series, new to the channel, I hope you enjoy the video. If you like what you see here and want to catch up on what's been happening in this campaign, I'll go ahead and link a playlist at the end of the episode. Actually, I'll go ahead and put a little card up here at the top with a link to the playlist for this series. We're in January of 1862, so we're into the second year of the war, the second calendar year. The campaign's been going about 6 months. This is a summer 61 start, so it started in July. And things are pretty even. We look at this little balance indicator up here, and it says Confederate slight advantage, but you can see from the needle it's just barely in our favor. So things could be going better. Let's review the kind of the high-level stats here. Really, there's only a couple of areas where we are doing significantly better than the Union, and that is national morale, which of course is literally the most important stat in the game, because national morale is what determines victory or defeat. Basically, the side which deteriorates to 25 national morale loses. This is the victory condition right here. And so we're doing much better than the Union on that, but 62 is still not terribly low. We have a long way to go. In other factors, we're kind of dead even. National support still high on both sides. Morale of the armies is the same. And of course the Union has more states, as it should be. The Union has more men. About, what would that be? Probably, 45% more men. We've only got about 100,000, which is fairly low for entering 1862 in this game, but it is for the Union as well. And I haven't recruited as I've taken a lot of steps with policies and projects and stuff to ensure that we have a big manpower pool. So I can recruit a lot more units, but that's only part of the equation. I also have to be able to arm those units, and right now the best I could give them would be smoothbore muskets and 6-pound field gun, just default weapons. So I've been a little slow in recruiting for that reason, and also because we are playing on historic setting for AI behavior. And in that mode, the Union is always going to have a superiority in men, or is going to recruit toward a superiority in men. They might occasionally drop to parity, but they're not going to go hog wild and just recruit regardless of what we do either. This is probably about the ratio that they would maintain, because they really haven't recruited that many men either. So about a 1.5, 1.4 to 1 ratio would remain fairly steady. If I jump this up to 200,000 men real quickly, well, they would jump this up to, 280 or 300,000 men. And we'd wind up kind of being in the same state. For player versus AI, this is probably manageable, and it has been kind of manageable so far. Kind of. We've had a few setbacks. Actually lost a battle a couple episodes ago, as many viewers will be well aware. And then some of our victories have not, they've been costly, and they were close. So even though we have won many more battles, and that will probably continue, but yeah, I'd say overall the AI is putting up a pretty decent fight here. We're just about even in military experience. We're only 2 points above. And we are doing well on casualty ratio. 50,000 Union casualties to 22,000 Confederate casualties. However, you know, these 22,000 are coming out of a smaller manpower pool. Right? So if we think about it in percentage terms, this is probably more, you know, this is effectively a little closer than that. And even just objectively, what is this? Probably about a 2.2, 2.3 to 1 casualty ratio. Again, in Grand Tactician Civil War, that is not really that high. I've had previous campaigns, and I'm sure others have as well, with 4 or 5 to 1 casualty ratios. The Europeans don't want to have anything to do with either one of us. Which is a net Union advantage, I guess. So the slider's all the way in their favor. So far, because they have a blockade in place on most of our ports, the trade warfare balance is heavily in their favor. But I think that is going to start going in the other direction pretty soon. We do have a little bit of blockade going on of northern ports, but we're going to start clearing. We're going to start clearing their blockade. And this has always interested me. This is actually a new category down here in 1.06, economy, where it looks like, you know, we're actually pretty close. 17.4 for them, 16.5 for us. But then you look at the tooltip, and you look at those various categories, weapons, tech, corporate profit, etc., 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 and the Union has much larger numbers. So I don't precisely know how this economy high level stat is calculated when it looks like from the subcategories that the Union ought to be much higher. I don't quite know what this means. In any case, the game seems to think we're doing okay relative to our adversaries, so I'm cool with that. And that's kind of where we're at here, entering 1862. And this is kind of the territory control, the front line view here that I always start off the campaign with. Okay, let's look at theater by theater here of what's going on. First of all, just so I don't forget, let's have a look at our little telegraph builders. How are they doing? Okay, Clark has completed this telegraph station here, which does put, finally, Price's army in telegraph connectivity, which was the goal. So that's good. I think I'm going to bring these guys, now that we've got this line up into here, I'm going to come back down and put a telegraph line to Fort Smith. That we may not need that, but we may. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Interesting. So he's calculating that the faster path is to come back down and get on the river and come up, rather than come down this way. That makes sense. How about our other guys? Okay. They're done with their telegraph station at whatever little town this is. Jonesboro? Jonesboro. And I think that the next spot will be, there's not a town here, but where the salt works is. Saltville Salt Works. And I've shown this before, but you know, I'm certainly aware that not everybody has seen all my videos. So, how to determine where to go put your next telegraph station in line. Okay, so to build a telegraph station, you have to be within the radius of an existing telegraph station. Okay, so if we click on this telegraph station, it'll show the radius. You have to click it, and then you have to zoom out a level for it to display. There, okay. So right up here at Saltville, we're just inside the radius of the station that we just built, so we can build one here. And the goal is, why we're doing this, is to create a direct line down through the Appalachians, right, for a shorter distance than what we currently have, east to west. So Lynchburg is what we want to connect to, that telegraph station. Aha. And we've got the overlap. So this station, when we build it at Saltville, will complete that link. So let's do, and then you got to go back and turn the damn things off. There we go. Right, so Louis Hebert up to Saltville with you. And then I'm going to have to try to figure out what else to do with these engineers. They're kind of finishing up the jobs for which I created them. But they're just like a horse artillery battery, so it's not like they're costing really much. Alright, that's our telegraph stations. You know what? Let's go east to west this time. Things are pretty static in Virginia. It's winter. We are entrenched, which has the same effect in defensive stance that winter quarters does in offensive stance. So basically everyone's in winter quarters here, with us in a defensive mode. So basically these guys are just doing training. Not all that terribly well. They're still at poor. They're probably pretty close to achieving regular. The main idea of this force, not much has been going on with them recently, but there are a lot of Union... Yeah, we've got Army of Occupation here, 32,000. Department of Pennsylvania, 18,000. And somewhere back up here, probably where that supply depot is, but somewhere not in vision, is the Army of Northeastern Virginia. So, total, they've got... we have 50,000 visible. There's probably at least 20,000 in the other armies. So there's about 70,000 Union troops here, right around Washington. And we have less than that in these three armies, which I hope soon will, relatively soon, will be corps. You know, 13,000 here, 20,000 here, 21,000 here. Why is Magruder so much smaller? Oh, because he still has some brigades that are quite small. They started real small at game start. Yeah. Mahone's got less than 1,000. Okay. So basically, we've got just a little over 50,000 men against 70,000. Ish federal troops in this theater. And they're kind of tied here because even though there's not a whole lot going on right now, here's our capital, Richmond. You know, if I were to take one of these armies and go put them somewhere else where we sorely need troops, it must be admitted. But that would drop that ratio a little bit too low, and you know, don't want them to capture the capital. In the Western Theater, or really kind of the Central Theater, we've got the one army, Sidney Johnson's Tennessee Army, which recently captured and fortified Cairo, Illinois. But we've got a couple of Union armies up here threatening Louisville, to the point where I'm kind of surprised they haven't taken it yet. And so he is on river transport, making his way back up to Louisville. Now, I'm not super excited about Johnston pitching immediately into a battle upon arrival, because we have gotten a few more rifles into the Army, but some of the armies do not yet have all rifles. We still have some muskets, and quite a few muskets, and the Army of Tennessee is one of those. There's still a lot of muskets in this army, so I'd really kind of rather wait for him to fight a tactical battle until after he gets some better weapons, which are on the way. We've got a batch of 25,000 plains rifles, which should be arriving mid to late February. They're not that far away. And then we've got a larger batch of 50,000 Mississippi rifles, which will be arriving probably mid to late March. Still about 2 months out. But right now in the armory, we got nothing. Except for Smithfield smoothbore muskets. And of course mixed muskets. And a similar situation with artillery as well. We have a lot of artillery ordered and on the way, but it has not yet arrived. So I'm hoping he comes up here and in defensive stance can simply deter the Union from moving in on Louisville. Whether that works, well, we'll just have to see. I mean, if he has to fight, he has to fight. I'm not going to just retreat him away from Louisville, Kentucky. He's got about 17,000 men. I think he'd do all right, even with some muskets. And then finally, that brings us to what has been our most problematic theater, and that is the Trans-Mississippi, where Sterling Price has fought quite a few battles with this Missouri Army. And in fact, in our last episode, fought the most recent, and that on the campaign map, that battle is actually still going on while time is paused. And Price has not won every single one of those battles. And so he needs a little bit of help. He's back down to just over 10,000 men. And at the moment, because he's in a battle, it'll fix itself pretty quickly. And at the moment, he's out of supply. He's doing pretty good on ammo, which is pretty surprising given the amount of fighting he's been doing. But he needs some more. He needs some more men. And my plan for that is, I've already sent him some more artillery that actually made it for the last battle. Our recruiting command is under Braxton Bragg, and I sent them down here to besiege Fort Pickens. So these are basically our new recruits intended for other uses. You know, some of these guys may go up to Magruder. Another brigade here may go up to Sidney Johnston in Kentucky. But I'm sure a couple of these brigades will make their way to Sterling Price as well. There's only 5 infantry brigades here. First, they got to finish their siege, though, which is increasingly in our favor. But that, you know, that'll take as long as it takes. It may be pretty quick. It may take a little while. And the other thing that I'm doing is, it's kind of hard to show them, but here at Fort Smith, I have recruited a couple of small brigades of Arkansas and Missouri troops. And I recruited them specifically from those states so that they should show up at Fort Smith fairly quickly. I think something like a couple of weeks. As soon as they arrive, boom, I'm transferring them straight up to Price. And they're not going to be independent brigades. Basically, they're just reinforcements. When they arrive in the Missouri Army, a couple of I got to do it this way. A couple of Price's brigades have gotten pretty small. Waitman's down to 1,300. Parsons, who admittedly through my inattention and fumbling handling, just got wrecked in the last battle, which was a major victory for us, but it wasn't a major victory for Parsons. So, you know, I got another 1,500 men coming up from Fort Smith in a couple weeks. I'm just going to combine those guys straight into Parsons' brigade. Clark. This one's a little bit of a harder situation because Clark's brigade is they've gotten a lot of experience. And when you combine, when one combines units, you know, the guys folding into the unit, right? The reinforcing brigade, if you will. They just assume the same weapons. They just assume the same state. It's just not modeled because those are discrete attributes, right? There's not a range. That's not true for experience. Behind these stars, there is a numerical value, and that does get averaged. So if I bring 1,500 newbies up from Fort Smith, and I combine them into Clark's brigade, that's going to trash their experience. It'll probably drop it down to 1 star. Okay, so that does happen. It's not completely free to combine units when there's an experienced unit involved. I think most of these other brigades may be kind of okay. 1,800 we can live with. 13. And this was Fulkerson's brigade. He got wounded, so John Forney is in command here. He's down to 736 men. Dang, I may need to bring in 3 brigades. I better bring in 3 brigades. Anyway, bottom line, there are more troops on the way to help Price. Yeah, let's recruit another little... That's Fort... I'm not doing it at Fort Smith because a fort only has a capacity of 5,000. So I kind of filled up Fort Smith's capacity a little bit because there is a Texas brigade there as well and an artillery battalion, which I'm also sending up to Price when that artillery battalion arrives. So let's go to Fort Gibson. If I can find it. And let's recruit. Do we have enough men in Ark? Not really. Well, we kind of do. Yeah. Okay. We'll do another small brigade of Arkansas troops. 1,500, yep. Under Hardy. Well, you know what? We're not using Hardy for anything else at the moment. And that brigade is going to combine in a few weeks, so he can stay there. Heck, I may even put him like in a divisional command in the Army of Missouri. Or I may just replace it. Yeah, Price is doing okay. I know there's better generals, yes. But there's other theaters too. And this one's a little hot right now, but I think Kentucky's going to get pretty hot pretty soon too. And then, of course, you know, Jackson, Longstreet, those guys. Yeah, they're going to be in Virginia because that's just the way I'm going to, you know, that's just what I'm going to do. Lee's going to have his boys with him. Oh, right. I forgot to, a couple of episodes ago, kind of brought up, you know, there was someone who wanted, you know, can we have the Indian Territory unit, 1st Cherokee Mounted Rifles? Can you do that? The answer was, yeah, we can do that. And in fact, now, because of the recent recruitment actions I've taken for the manpower pool, we got it. There you go. 1st Cherokee Mounted Rifles under the command of Stan Wadey. Is it Wadey or Waddy? I should look that up. I'm not sure. Springfield Musketeers, best I could do for them, sorry. All the other cav has got crap weapons too. And I just had enough guys in Indian Territory to make it a small one. That's interesting. Oh. Well, that makes sense, but I had not realized that. Okay, let's roll back toward the beginning of the series when I was explaining here in policies. Conscription Act. Let's read this tooltip again, up toward the top. Existing voluntary contracts lengthened to 3 years. So at the time that I passed this, all volunteer contracts and all units went to 36 months. But that's existing voluntary. Everyone that I've recruited since then is still governed by whatever militia act was in effect at the time that I recruited them, which right now we're still in Militia Act 2. So these units that I just recruited are 24-month units, which is still plenty long. And at some point, we're going to get Militia Act 3, and I don't think that's going to be a huge deal. However, there is a little loophole there that I hadn't thought about. And they're still recruiting here at Fort Gibson at Muskogee, Indian Territory, which will one day become Oklahoma. And yeah, I think they'll be going up to Price as well, and he'll have 2 cav brigades. I've also mentioned before that all these other forts have these little bitty Texas brigades in them. They're just not big enough yet to really do much with, even as a raiding force. They're right around 600 men apiece. I'm hoping that they will grow some more and they'll be a little bit bigger and we can do something with them in the spring, April-May time frame. But quite frankly, despite the fact that Texas has some pretty decent manpower reserves available, they don't seem to be growing very much. But if I combined them all right now, I would get like 1 full-size brigade or 2 small brigades out of them. That's not very much. So I'm hoping that they will grow a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. Okay. And then finally, naval. Toward the end of a couple of, last episode was just a battle. But we now have, at full readiness, the Confederate States Navy Battle Squadron, which is no longer blocked into port by Fort Monroe because Fort Monroe is now Confederate controlled. So it is time to start lifting this blockade on our ports. Let's put him in offensive mode. And our first action of this episode is the cannon's going to come up here and chase off this blockade fleet. I am confident that he will do well. And once he takes care of these guys, he's going to come up here and he's going to take care of this Potomac flotilla. And Virginia will be blockade free. I hope. Let's see, what does he have here? He's got 9 ships with a total of 164 guns, which works out to an average of less than 20 guns per ship. Now, he's going to have a couple of frigates in there, but he's got some smaller ships too. Whereas our force, we have 8 ships, and that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. Why do I have 6 disabled ships? says they're all here. I mean, there should be 400 guns here. There's 8 ships of 50 guns apiece. That may be a time you know what, though? Let's just make sure. Something's not quite right there. Or may not be quite right. Anyway, I think that covers the situation. Let's just roll time a little bit here. Why do I have 6 disabled ships still? Well, we'll let that cook for a second. Okay, this battle is still going on. Apparently we have some unhappy troops. It's pretty, and he's already gotten resupplied here. He just took stuff right out of that supply depot. He's fine. For supply. We need to do some morale recovery here. Yeah, so the Missouri State Guard 1st Brigade is unhappy with Waitman, and the artillery is unhappy with Porter Alexander. That just happens. It's really not worth fooling with, to be honest. Once units get a few stars of experience, and I've said this before, basically no officer in your army will satisfy them. Because the two attributes that matter for that particular mechanic are fame and leadership. And with combat experience, leadership usually comes up reasonably well. However, fame necessarily doesn't. And so you get a lot of, you get the situation where you've got battalion and brigade commanders who are coming up pretty nicely in stats, right? The initiative, leadership, admin, and cunning, but they haven't gained a lot of fame. And their troops wind up unhappy with them. But you don't have anybody in the pool, really, even the good ones, that would make them any happier. So, and it's a fairly, as you can see, that unhappy stat there is pretty darn small. It's outweighed by the telegraph, and they'll come back up. They're already increasing in morale as it is. I think this is just historical flavor. I don't think this means anything. Unless possibly, does it maybe have a small effect on importing coal? I don't know. I know what I haven't looked at in a while. That should be ready. Can I upgrade this stupid iron mine? Yes. Finally. 3.7 million of subsidy money, which is what we were waiting on. It was so much more expensive to do it from the Treasury. So, that's done. And there we go. Nice. Fort Pickens is now Confederate. Ha-ha! The newspapers were so happy they printed it twice. They often do that. Okay, so the first question is, total casualty 213 men, 210 captured. I don't think we captured any weapons there. Which, there wasn't an infantry garrison, it was an artillery garrison. I don't think we captured any guns, though. Let's see. That looks the same. That's the same. Same. Yeah, we didn't get anything there. What we did do is free up some troops. Let's get Bragg headed up back north, at least as far. Bring back up at least to Montgomery. No. It's supposed to be at Atlanta, kind of equidistant between the western and eastern theaters. And we've got Dixon Dennison in command at Fort Pickens. I do not intend to put a garrison here, or any extra garrison beyond the just default 50 men, if there's even that. 75 men. But it's an opportunity to put a political officer in command somewhere and increase state support. I don't want to put a real great one, though. Kind of like to do a Virginia guy. Yeah. These guys are all a little bit too good. I may want them in field army commands. How about a Kentucky guy? Got any Kentuckians? I think Joseph Lewis looks like a fine candidate. Joseph Lewis, welcome to Florida, where you will sit out the war. It's pretty nice, Pensacola. It's a nice climate. Drinking Mai Tais on the beach and making the Kentucky State Legislature happy. It's a fine job for you. Okay, we've gone a few days now. How's our fleet doing now? There we go. Nothing, yeah. I guess they were just on the verge of arriving, just enough to not be grayed out, but hadn't really calculated as being present yet. Okay, now let's go attack these guys. Off you go. Okay. Well, right off the bat, we've already disabled one of their ships. There's one ship captured. There's another one. Yeah. They've only got like 1, 2, 3 true, you know, warships there. And these are all disabled, which means we're going to capture them, which means that's just going to feed right back into our Navy, and these will eventually become part of another fleet. They are beating up CSS Huntsville pretty good, down to 71%. Raleigh's down to 81%. This is about done. All their little ships are gone. There we go. Okay. Steaming to the safety of their harbors, they're retreating. 7 ships captured. Their condition alarming, ours intact. That's actually a separate battle. So sometimes this happens where they get in kind of a little... Oh no, there's another squadron that came down here. There's the Atlantic Blockading Squadron, which is the one we attacked, and then there's this Atlantic Squadron, which isn't very big. And we actually got our 5 naval victories there. Okay. This may go on for a while. there's a battle, the Navy loses, but then they're unable to retreat for readiness or some reason, and then it just keeps generating battle after battle until one disintegrates. Which hopefully will be theirs. But you can see that our readiness is also... No, it's hanging steady at yellow. They need it. There it goes. It just disintegrated. And well... they need to fix this. Obviously, this is not what should be happening. And the problem with it is, it's not huge because it's small forces involved. But every single one of these... No, well, hold on. Our guy is still moving north, which means he keeps engaging. Let's just... try to get him back into port. Just to stop this never-ending stream of... Goodness gracious. I think this is just newspaper headlines trying to catch up to the battles that have already happened. Get him back into Gosport, get some more ammo. Some of these ships probably need to repair. And we need to get all these little captured ships out. Oh, we captured a frigate too. We need to get all these guys out of the fleet because now they're degrading its readiness. Okay, so we'll let Buchanan's readiness come back up to green. Let him replenish some ammo, and then we'll send him out to chase that guy away. I guess he was just out of sight. Alright, what's going on over in Missouri? Not much. Supply situation's good. It's not really coming up in readiness very quickly. Go ahead and transfer a couple of battalions, or brigades rather. We will send... Send Harry Hayes and Carter Stevenson to Price's army. And these guys will stay separate brigades. We're going to have 3 divisions, or 3 brigades per division here. And I don't have any rifles to give them, but I can at least give them Springfield muskets, which is only a tiny bit better. That's what I got. come up several times before, but in case anyone watching doesn't know, what is the improvement of a Springfield musket over a mixed musket? They have the same accuracy, which is poor. They have the same range, only 250 yards, and they have the same rate of fire, 2.5 rounds a minute. What is not shown here is damage. There is a firepower stat which is not shown in game, but which is in the manual. And the Springfield musket does have higher firepower than the mixed musket does. The firepower stat for the mixed musket is 0.9, and the firepower stat for the Springfield musket is 1.2. And that number isn't shown in the tooltip, but that is what is behind that last sentence there, verbally. Inaccurate, but deadly with buck and ball ammunition. So that's why the Springfield musket, it's hard to hit with them because of their accuracy and range. But when they do hit, they pack a bigger punch than a mixed musket does. And actually, let's send Price another artillery battalion as well. Plenty of artillery in this among our recruits. So when all those guys arrive, the price will be up to 15,000 men, and that'll take 17 days, which is not bad. They're coming all the way from South Alabama, some of them. And then he's going to have some more guys coming up from Fort Smith right around the same time to fold into his existing brigades. So he'll have, I think, about 18,000 men. And that'll put him in much better shape to deal with these Union armies up here in central southern Missouri. Okay. How about Johnston? What are you up to here? Johnston is just now disembarking here at Louisville, I think. Yes? No? Oh, I thought I'd put him on land. I guess I just told him to come up this way. Army of the West is only 7. You know what, though? I'm not against just letting them complete that supply depot first. Then maybe we'll chase them away. Right, how's our fleet doing over here? Backup and ammo, provisions look okay. He's doing some repairs, I think. 72% for Huntsville, 82% for Raleigh. Let's just briefly pull Huntsville out. We can pop her back in later. And Raleigh, same thing. Everybody else is above 90%. This fleet has only got, yeah, they're tiny. Let's go get rid of these guys. Yeah, these are all just little fourth-rate steamers. This should go very quickly. Phoenix already low ammo and out of range. I guess that means they're running away, I guess. Okay, 5 more ships captured. And now we're going to have this same thing with recurring battle. Nope, they're gone. Nice. Okay, we got a bunch more steamers here. So when all these get repaired, we've got plenty for another little blockading fleet somewhere up the coast around Philadelphia. How's our condition? I think it look okay. 13 ships of only 61 guns, so that's an average of just a little over 4 guns. But yeah, this is a bunch of little gunboats and steamers here as well. Let's just let Buchanan come back up in readiness to green, and then we'll send him up here and get rid of the Potomac flotilla. Anything going on up here? No. Everyone's defensive right now. Okay. Okay. It is February 1st, so let's see. Let's have a look at our Econ and Intel reports. Somebody just got rehabilitated. Parsons. That's right, he got defamed. I forgot to remove him. Oh well, he's fine now. Okay, we're at BBB mediocre. It's unchanged though. We're holding steady on credit rating. And I think as we start to clear the blockade from some of these bigger ports, combined with the tariff act that we took, I think we should be doing a little bit better pretty soon. Economy recovery. Okay, our wealth is mediocre and increasing again. That's good. Tax revenues increased by quite a bit. That's probably that tariff act going into place. And yeah, our trade imbalance, still heavily in favor of imports, is maintaining about the same ratio. And I'm kind of hoping that as we get trade deals, more levels of trade deals, that improves. And we're still lacking the same items. Iron ore. Now the fact that we upgraded our iron mine should help with that eventually, and then translate through and help with iron as well. And that's actually a good question. Well, some steam, okay. How are we doing? Do I need to upgrade that lead mine? Demand 3.2, production 51. there's a ton in the markets. And it's low value. This kind of tells me that lead is doing okay. I don't know if I need to spend the money on upgrading that lead mine after all. And actually, with the change to the iron mine, it's still a high value item, but our production is a little bit higher than demand now. So this may actually tail off a bit. And iron, we're actually not in a terrible place for this either. To the point where I'm kind of wondering why it's telling us we have a shortage. We're producing 80,000 iron from our existing foundries. We have another 22,000 actually out there in the economy, in markets. There's only a demand for 10,000. So why are we being told we have an iron shortage? I don't doubt that there is one. I'm just kind of confused as to why it's saying that. I guess maybe it's a transportation bottleneck thing. We're producing enough, and there's enough out there somewhere in the country, but maybe it's having trouble getting to the foundries that need it. And there is a shortage map. So this is the icon here, and that's salt. That's lead. Maybe production and demand might be a better. Yeah, iron ore here. Unfortunately, the coal and the iron, they're kind of the same. Okay, so there's a big demand here. That doesn't mean that they're not being supplied. Yeah, there's a big demand in this area, but it's not showing a shortage. There is a little bit of shortage up here. That kind of makes sense. We just kind of recently took that area. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Bottom line is, I don't think I'm going to upgrade that lead mine after all. I'll keep an eye on it, and if we need to, we will. But what am I going to do next with industrial subsidy? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of good uses for industrial subsidy. There will be a good usage for it. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. How are we doing on projects? Ooh. Medium range carbine. Now available. Yes, please. Nice. I like that project because it gives us 3 pretty decent cav weapons. And therefore, instead of ordering a big batch of 1, and they're all roughly similar. The Maynard is the best of the 3, but they're all good. And they're all certainly way better than the mixed cav weapons we have now. So instead of doing a big order of 1 carbine, we can do several slightly smaller orders and therefore get even more weapons a little bit quicker. So let's do 10,000 is 109 days. 25, yeah. Let's go with 10,000 quantity orders of the Jocelyn, the Maynard, and the Merrill. So here in about 3.5 months, which is going to be mid-May, our cav will be much better armed. than they are now. And we've got enough where I can recruit a few more cav units, which I think we need. One little oddity that some people may not be aware of, the Merrill Carbine in particular, this one weapon, there's a couple of others like this, but out of this batch, this weapon is eligible for infantry as well. I typically don't do that, but you know, it's a fast firing, short range, but fast firing. You know, a specialist infantry brigade, you can do Merrills on them. Okay. And then, so we looked at the Econ and then Intel. What are we getting here? Okay, so they're working on industrialization too. That seems pretty appropriate for the Union. And they've done several projects. Railroad construction. Suppress population. Which they control parts of Kentucky and Virginia. So that's going to further impact state support in those two states for us. And cast artillery. So they've got Napoleons on the way at 14-pound James. They've recruited 2,900 men. See, they've kind of, you know, the last report was 0 men. They kind of leveled off in recruiting, and now they've recruited 2,900 more, and that's probably in response to those couple of brigades that I recruited over at Fort Smith. They're still going nuts on ships, though, and have created another Massachusetts squadron. Morale hasn't changed this episode, that makes sense, and they're still carrying out offensive operations. Although, they're not doing that in Virginia. They're kind of moving around in Kentucky a little bit, but they're not, you know, they haven't moved in on Louisville yet. But I think Price can probably expect to get another visit from the Army of Indiana pretty soon. It's just going to be, does he get all of his guys arrived beforehand? Let's see how Fort Smith is doing on their recruited troops. I don't know if it's going to show me or not. Eight days. So I think one brigade is there already, and there's another one still coming about a week away. Okay. Oh, and engineers can build our telegraph station here, as intended. If I can find a gray spot for it. A build spot. Well, there's a farm in the way, there's a town itself in the way, these roads are in the way. These telegraph stations actually have a fairly big footprint on the map. Okay, it's eligible, it's just he can't find a clear spot. Let's just bring him over here a little bit. And while he's moving, should be ready to build one up here at Saltville. There's a spot. Okay. Oh, we just issued bonds again. You know, the telegraph stations do add up. Plus I recruited some troops. And I ordered those Well, it was probably those carbine orders that did it. Well, it had to be done. We're still BBB. And okay, green readiness. I think he's got enough ammo. Let's go beat up this fleet up here. Let's get this blockade lifted. Yeah, ship tender gunboats, fourth rate steamers. Make quick work of these guys. There's a schooner. A lot more future CSS ships here. Four sunk, 8 captured. That's enough for another little blockade fleet. Nope, they still exist though. Nope, disintegrated. Okay, nice job, Buchanan. Come on back down to Norfolk. And we'll get you all repaired. And then he's going to start moving down the coast to North Carolina next. Let's get all these captured ships into the harbor pool. Oh, I thought I had it. I thought it was dragging. Here we go. Why is Phoenix grayed out? It's 99% condition. I don't know. And let's put this Sloops of War is still building. They're only at 70%. Oh, I forgot to build a bunch of frigs for raiding fleets. Should probably get them into action as well. Alright, let's put Huntsville and Raleigh back in. And then our battle squadron will do a little repair here for a while before heading down the coast. And I think that that will do for this episode. Not a whole lot going on, but we've got help coming Price's way. And so I think our situation in Missouri is improving significantly. And we've got the Confederacy's largest port at Gosport, Virginia, free of blockade, along with all these other smaller ports in Virginia. And pretty soon we'll be able then to come up and kind of blockade this area, which will cover like Philadelphia, Delaware, and Baltimore and Annapolis. So their blockade recedes and ours will soon extend. And that will do for this episode. If you like what we're doing with the channel, you like the content, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. But at any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.